Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Corner. Where is it? All right. I guess we can do a fake and applause if you want to help me out. There it is. Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. This is the happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hi, Dad. I got your text this morning. Love you.
Oh,
And to all the fathers out there, this one's dedicated to you, because growth is for everyone, but we know fathers as well can grow as well. So we're going to dedicate this one to all the dads out there. Um, so, uh, without further ado,
without further ado.
right, I have to think of a new intro there to say. But my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach / business consultant. I'm the founder of Believe in the Unseen. And it's all about believing in yourself and believing in that goal, that it's there readily for you and that you can achieve it. And basically, my purpose is to reveal the hidden potential that's already within you and guide you to your truest desires. And I help basically hardworking people, but unfulfilled professionals who know they're capable of more, yet they feel stuck maybe in a cycle of effort without growth or progress and lacking clarity and direction and the positive mental programming needed to create the income and freedom and the life they truly desire. And I know for a fact abundance is our birthright. So I am in Maryland. It's a beautiful sunny day here, and I'm gonna pass it on. We're gonna keep the Father's Day vibes going. Another amazing father, Paul.
Thank you, Jamel. Thank you very much. Happy Father's Day to all the wonderful dads out there. And my name is Paul Wooters. I'm in Burlington, Ontario. I'm a Procter Gallagher consultant, success mindset mentor, and I'm the head of the Leadership and Development Department at the World Life Education Center and High School in Oakville. And I help people set a truly worthy goal, something that's going to unlock your potential and stretch your potential, to help you reshape your self-image, because we never outperform our own limiting beliefs or never outperform our own self-image, and change the direction of your life to help you really truly live to your greatest possibilities. I'm going to pass it on to my friend and colleague, Lou.
Oh, thank you, Paul, and happy Father's Day to Jamel and Paul and all our viewers out there. So, my name is Lou Perica. I too am a success mindset mentor and founder of Prosperous Results. Excuse me. And I help growth minded women and professionals become more self led so they can grow beyond, self doubt, overwhelm, and old conditioning and help them build results, experiences, and opportunities that reflect who they choose to be. Because real transformation doesn't happen when someone else leads your life, it happens when you learn to lead yourself. And when you start to make your decisions, they become stronger than what you may have been fearful of. When your vision becomes greater than your circumstances, the things that you've been currently experiencing. And when you stop waiting for permission and start trusting your inner wisdom. And that's exactly what we're going to be exploring today. And I'm really excited to dive into this book today with my colleagues. So I'm going to pass it over to Alicia.
Thank you, Lou. And my name is Alicia Espinosa. I'm also certified coach and mindset and values coach. And I am founder of the Casa de Diamantes. And some ask me what that means, Casa de Diamantes, because this is in Spanish and I am based in Sweden. And it is Diamond House or the House of Diamonds. And the reason I call it is because I believe that we all are diamonds. And for some reasons, we don't let that diamond inside us light up. And is what is my call here, to help people to find that inner diamond, and to help people to create a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good from the outside. And I also help leaders to be leaders worth following. So that is me from Sweden.
I love it. I love it. Wow. I forgot to mention, trained by legend Bob Proctor, as well as my peers here that was mentioned, because we're very inspired by a lot that he teaches and shares. And this is like, I never even heard of this book until I heard Bob mention it. So we're going through every chapter of You² by Price Pritchett. You see it right there on the screen that Lou is showing there. And what's special about this book, the chapters are short and sweet, and it's so funny because I was really blessed to celebrate my wife's birthday. Hello, my love, my queen. Happy birthday. I chose a certain sauce. It's called, we went to this fancy seafood restaurant, but what I'm getting at here was the sauce was Bayou and sweet. So anyway, these chapters are short and sweet. It's packed with a lot of flavor. And we're talking about right now, focus on ends rather than means. So right off the beginning here, he says, you don't have to know how you're going to get there, but you need to know where you want to go. And that is so important in personal development and personal growth. We all know the importance of getting clarity on goals. And there was something, I think, in Lead to Feel, they talked about how every ship that has a destination is like a cruise ship or whatever. It's going to one port after another. And when you look at your life, I looked at my life, I was like, wow, I was really trying to go to every single port on the roster or whatever at the same time, which is impossible, right? I can split myself in 7 or 10 different pieces and go there at the same time. So what this means is you need to know where you're going. What's your first port of call? Port of call. What destination are you setting for yourself? Where are you going in your life? And that is the starting point, right? And whether it's a monetary goal, a professional goal, a personal goal, it's a goal to you and it's unique to you. Every person desires different things at different times in their lives. And he goes on to say, it is crucial to have a crystal clear picture of what you want to accomplish. So this is important. This is vision, right? Wallace Wattles talks about having a vision. If you don't have a vision, it's cloudy, and then you're the plaything for outside sources. So you let the news or negativity, other people's consciousness, basically shape what goes in your mind, and then you kind of lose track of your goal, which is a lot of people. That was me as well. It says operate with a sharply defined mental image of the outcome you seek. So I like that. River your attention on that spot where you are to land at the end of your quantum leap. So we've been talking about quantum leaps. So if you don't know where you're going, why would you jump? Right? It's like, let me just jump off of this and hope I land somewhere. Right? Well, there's that word, hope. Hope and wishing, right? So choose where you're going and know that you're landing there, right? And that's with faith, understanding, vision, and gratitude a certain way. So, I'll pass it on there because that's a great starting point for a starting point.
Thank you, Jamel. That is a great starting point, and it's so powerful. It's so important to know where we want to go. Like, what do you really want? Who do you want to be? What kind of life do you really, really want to have? And you need to, and Bob taught us this, and stressed it over and over again. Like, you have to have a clear mental picture of where it is you want to go, because most people don't. A lot of people don't really have goals. Oh, they want to be happy, they want to be secure, but it's not defined really. What does that mean? What does it mean that I want to be happy? And people often dismiss a big goal because they don't know the how. And that's why this chapter is so important. It's a really powerful chapter and practical, because it addresses this common mistake that people make when they're pursuing their goals. They become so preoccupied with the how instead of focusing on the end, the what. Like, what is it that you want? What do you really want? And people will often, the minute they think of something, they'll dismiss it because, well, I don't know how that's going to happen. How will I do it? Where will the money come from? Who will help me? Well, what if I don't know? What if I fail? That's a big one too, right? But this is so good, and it's so important. Right off the top, it says it's crucial to have a crystal clear picture of what you want to accomplish, as Jamel said. And if you don't have that clear picture, and you have to write it out, and Bob always encouraged us to write it out and to, emphasize and be really clear what, and think of how it would make you feel to have that goal. What kind of person would you be? What person, what kind of things would you have in your life? And just eliminate all the how is it going to happen and that won't happen, and all those sort of questions that stop you, because people become stuck before they even begin, because they have to know everything, how it's going to happen. And so the author is saying that, hey, a quantum leap is only going to occur when you become crystal clear about your desired outcome, and just resist that urge to obsess over every step required to get there. I'm going to pass it on to Lou.
Well, thank you, Paul. So I think what I love what he says is, as you were talking about it, Paul, is if you start worrying about everything that will be involved in getting from here to there, you're bound to get bogged down in the questions about the methodology. So what that means is you start restricting the flow. And I was thinking about today being Father's Day, and whether it's, Father's Day, Mother's Day, becoming a parent, choosing a career, getting married. But I thought with today, when you think about when you first learned that you were going to be a parent, and you've never been a parent before, so very few of us knew how we were going to do it. And the how, we might be thinking about, oh, those questions or challenges at school, or the conversations, or some unpredictable moments about raising a child. And if we focus just on the how, we start to get overwhelmed. And what Price Pritchett is talking about is focus on the end, meaning, how do you want, in other words, what kind of a child would you envision raising? Someone who's kind, someone who may be confident, someone who may be responsible, who may be loving, and may grow into an adult that contributes to society. That's focusing on the end. So when you focus on raising a child, just for an example, on having those characteristics, those attributes, life will start presenting to you, to us, opportunities, lessons, perhaps challenges and experiences that actually teach us how along the way. Because if we just think about the how, again, we restrict the flow. It's like the kink in the hose. So focusing on what type of child you choose and you prefer to raise, then the opportunities and things start to come to you. But we want to be able, or you get to choose to focus on the end means instead of getting bogged down with all the hows. I thought that would be, because I know when I first found out I was going to be a mom, I remember looking in the mirror thinking, oh, oh my gosh. And then all these things, how we got to be able to afford the child, what about schools and all of those things. And it can feel very overwhelming instead of thinking about what type of child that you do want to raise. It just becomes a little bit easier and you enjoy the process more instead of getting bogged down with the house. Alicia.
Yeah, I was I was thinking, and I think that I normally take the example of driving a car in the dark. Dark, it's so dark, and you don't see the whole road from
Mhm.
where you are driving to the. But you need to know where you are driving to, where you are driving to, and then be very. You really know that even if it's dark outside, so you will see with lights from the car will light up your road, and then when you come down, then you will see one more meter, and so, and that is the thing that sometimes we want to see the whole road from where we are driving to where we are going to be, but the most important is to know where I am going to, and also to start the car, because if and start driving, because if I don't start the car, it doesn't matter my intention to go to another place if I don't start the car and start driving. And then you don't need to know, like now it's much easier to get the GPS put in there, and it will help that. But at that time that we don't have the GPS, you just rely that you will come there anyway. And sometimes maybe you will lose, will you are lost somewhere in the middle of anything, and but you relied on you finding the way to come back to go where you are going to driving. So that is I normally use that metaphor because it's like relying on yourself, that you can drive the car and you know that you need to take the action to do that. One more thing that I normally use is the sailing, because in the sailing, when you are sailing, you need to know where you start and where you are going to go to which port you are going to sail, and that is important. Then how you are going to come there, you know that it will sometimes be a lot of wind or sometimes not. But if you realize that you can come there if you know how to set the sails, then that is what is helping you to come to where you want. And then you need to understand that, okay, so you have the sails, it's your strength, but you have also, I don't know what I don't know what is the name in English, the thing that, if it's hole in the boat and you throw it and you will get to life.
Life vest,
Like,
Life
Yeah,
preserver.
yeah,
lifesaver. Yeah.
yeah. So for me, it's a representation that we all need to work in some cases, we have some weakness. So that is that. The problem is that people always focus more in the weakness, but it's the sales, the strengths that will put us to another in the direction that we want to sail. And also we have the what is
The,
in English?
the helm.
What? Yeah, it's like, it's our values is helping us to sails through
Steer,
the
guide.
waters. And then we have other boats, and we need to take consideration the other boats around us. But it's the sails and using this sail, and we have a compass, and the compass is our emotions and feelings that we can use as a tool to get out there. So when we set a goal, we can use our our strengths and our emotions as a tool to get what we want. The problem is that normally we want to drive in 150 kilometers per hour, and we don't stop and start thinking, okay, where I'm going to go from here. No, we start to drive, and don't stop to feel the feelings that we are, or the emotions that we are feeling, and thinking that, okay, maybe I will, some days I will stop and thinking, what is this feeling telling me? So our feelings is the body's way of talking to us, but we normally don't stay and have a reflection time just to get some, you know, um, ideas from the universe or whatever. I know. So is I think that is more like, okay, I set the goals, and I know I believe that is important to me according to my values. I will take the actions that are needed to take to get there. And I know that it will not be a straight way to that place, but it will be a lot of learning, and or you learn or you win. That is.
Wow. All right.
Just
Yeah, I love it. And we have a couple people here live. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us and, really diving in here. And yeah, I love that metaphor. I love both of them because when you think about a car, right, you have to start it in order to move anywhere, right? So one, actually know that you have a vehicle, right? Guess what the vehicle is? This is the vehicle you've been blessed with right here, right now. You have a vehicle that can take you anytime in any place, actually. So what's screaming at me is that quote. It's the start that stops most people. It's the start that stops most people. And you can stop yourself by not even imagining the life that you want, or doubting that life isn't there for you, or you're not worthy of it, or you'll never get there. You can stop yourself mentally by not even imagining it. So, and that was me for a long time. I couldn't imagine myself out of my current circumstances. And this is where, personal development, personal growth starts. It starts in your mind. And in order for this vehicle to move, you have to at least imagine the life that you want and the things that you want to achieve, or the lifestyle you want, or the money that you want, whatever it is. And all of us know that here, and we've been creating in our minds first, in our imagination. And remember, everything is created twice, once in the unseen and then in the seen. So it has to start in the unseen. If you really think about that, it has to start. Because if you just start the car, you don't know where you're going. Or you're going to turn left, you're going to turn right, you're going to keep going in circles, right? or are you just gonna, I don't know, you can put it in neutral and coast to nowhere, whatever, right? So you're not gonna start the car unless you know where you're going, right? So know that you have a vehicle. It starts in your mind, and your physical body, your body is an instrument of the mind. So it'll receive information on what to do. So he says here, visualize your arrival. How do you visualize? You're using your imagination effectively. You're tapping into what you can't see with your eyes or hear with your ears or your senses. So visualization is very powerful. I love visualization. I've been developing that muscle for a long time. And what the imagination can do, it can take you to any time and any place. And it's the sacred gift that all of us been blessed with. And if you're not using it, well, a lot of us use it, but ineffectively. So we'll imagine the negative things. Oh, I got to wake up and do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. What if that happens? So we're using it, but against ourselves. So visualize your arrival. So what does that arrival to that destination look like? Right? So you can really think about that when you get into the car. We use that metaphor. You know, I remember driving to Jacksonville, Florida, all the way from Maryland. So it's a 10-hour drive, right? That was the first time I've ever done that. I never driven that far down on 95. It's a beautiful drive. And once I've done it, I know the destination now. I know where I'm going. So you can visualize your arrival to whatever state that you want. And he says, when you do that, it's like you magnetize yourself to the ways and means involved in the methodology for getting there. So you're magnetizing yourself. I say this on a lot of my calls and live streams. We're walking magnets. We're walking magnets. And even the molecules in our body shift based on the frequency of thoughts that we have. So it either goes to a negative or positive polarity based on the actual thoughts you have in your mind. So you start magnetizing your arrival when you're focused on the destination. And what's impressed must be expressed. So if you're constantly thinking about your goal, it's coming to you as you're moving towards it. And here's a special part here. He says, the solutions begin to appear. We were talking about the how. Everybody gets hung up on the how. Leave the how to the universe, to spirit, infinite intelligence, God, whatever you believe in. Leave the how alone. It's not your business. It's here to guide you towards what you desire. Desire is unexpressed spirit speaking to and through you. So it's unexpressed potential, and we have unlimited potential. And he says, answers come to you. And look at the history of humankind. You know, Albert Einstein, all the greats, Henry Ford, just go down the list, right? All these amazing things accomplished in humanity, answers come to them because they were so focused on their quantum leap destination. Nothing, they had blinders on. This is what I'm going to do. You can go down the list of everything created, and history will tell you they've been using these same exact processes that we're sharing here. And, you know, it's very important to apply it. And this is why we're here, to remind you of the same greatness that you have. Father's Day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jamel. It's so important to use our imagination. Like you said, most people use it against themselves. You have to imagine, why do you have to imagine the worst case scenario? Why do you have to imagine things are going to go wrong? Why do you have to imagine I'm going to fail? Why do you have to imagine all that negative side to things? And when I bring that up sometimes in my class, and I know Jamel and Lou talked about this last week, and we talked about it before, well, that's just reality, or that's just realistic, or that's being unrealistic. So like, it just, what is, you know, being realistic? What does that actually mean? It's that you're those beliefs that you have, your old paradigms, and you can develop new paradigms. Your imagination, you can use it for yourself, not against yourself. Now you have to imagine all the things that could go wrong and all the things that might not work out. Start imagining things going right. Why not? Why not imagine things going right for you? Why does and all this stuff about making these quantum leaps, it isn't about trying harder, working harder. It doesn't mean it's going to be more difficult. In fact, it could be a lot easier. It's just something different. On the next page, he's talking about you have the potential. You have the potential. The resources are available. They're available to other people. You see that they're available to other people. They're available to you as well. The opportunity's there. What you're missing is your decision. And Bob talks about this all the time. We never learned how to make decisions. What do you think I should do? Jamel, what do you think I should do? What would you do, Lou, if I would do this? You're always asking someone else, right? You're asking someone, maybe they don't even know. Maybe they're not even a knowledgeable person. And they're going to, and they might have the best intentions at heart, but they're going to impress upon you their fears, what they're scared of, what they're using their imagination for the worst case scenarios, and they're going to impress that. They're going to impose their fears onto you, right? And then you're going to say, well, how's that? Well, this, I'd be worried about that. I'd be cautious about this. We just haven't made the decision to go for it. So it's something that, we're keeping ourselves from happening. We're restricting ourselves. We're putting ourselves in this box. We're putting a cage around ourselves. And it's, that causes a real struggle in our lives, because we just haven't learned how to make a decision. We just don't make decisions. We just don't decide to go for it. And it's always, people get hung up on this how thing, that's a trap. When people set a really large goal, they're going to almost immediately compare it to their current resources or their current knowledge or their current circumstances. So a student might say, I'd love to become a doctor, but I don't know how. Or an entrepreneur would say, you know what? I want to start a business, but I don't have the money. Or an athlete might say, I'd like to compete at a higher level, but I don't know how to get there. And I could use a really most recent example, because I was at a dive competition last week, a provincial competition, and we had 10 divers there. But there's one diver I'm thinking in particular who's been around for about a year and a half, very talented. Does all the technique, works super hard, comes out to practice, always on time, always working hard, doesn't cheat in the exercises. But she has this, and if you looked at her, and I'd say, I'd show her videos of herself, and I say, if you look at this person, what would you say to that person? Like, they should go for it. And she just restricts herself. And about a month ago, I said, because she's been, for the last year and a half, finishing in the top 10, but, inching closer. I don't think she really believes she could be in a podium finish. And so a month ago, I said, well, you have to visualize, what would it be like? How would it make you feel to be in a podium finish? You have 3 different events, 1 meter, 3 meter platform. How would it feel to finish in the top 5 in all those events? And she sort of looked at me like, well, I've never done that. That's not going to happen. So I sort of helped her outline a script, and she had to visualize, in great detail, what she was going to do, finish in the top 5, and how it would make her really feel. How is that going to make her feel? And it seems like maybe you're writing a lie, but it's not a lie. You're just not allowing yourself to go there. So she wrote out this script, and guess what? She finished second in one event, and she finished in the top 5 in the other 2.
Yay!
Yeah, it was a real thing, and she really struggled. And then her biggest goal for the year, for some people it's maybe being a podium finish or maybe having this many points, but for her it was, I want to be more confident. I want to have more confidence. Great goal, because you get confidence by taking the action. That's how, and I helped her take action. I helped her take action more quickly. And so she took the action. And by taking the action and by repeatedly taking the action, she became more confident. So that's really, really important. So I think, you begin, and Bob would say this, and I think, Price Pritchett, the author, is saying this: begin with the end in mind. Instead of focusing on the path, focus on your destination. Focus on where it is you really want to go. And, decide again, what do you want? What do I want? What result am I committed to? And what outcome am I choosing for myself? And the clearer your vision becomes, the easier it is for opportunities, ideas, resources, and solutions. They start to appear. When you take that step, then the resources come to you. If you've never go down that street, you don't know who lives down that street. You don't know what shops are down that street. You don't know who may help you. So it's not about being harder. As Jamel said, the most difficult thing is often that first step. Take that first step, and the resources you need, the people that you need, they will be there. They'll be there waiting for you. And it's just, wow. You have these really wow moments when that happens. So, take that step, take that action step, and decide what it is you want. Be very clear, and then take that step. As Alicia said, I love that analogy of the driving a car at night, right? You know your destination, but you can only see however many meters in front of you with the headlights. But you just keep following the headlights. You keep following as far as you can see. And there's a saying, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll see how you can get further. Lou.
Wow. Well, that was awesome, Paul. And thank you for sharing that with your story about the divers, your divers. That's fabulous. I love that. Um, so yeah, I'm looking here. It says U² is achieved, and we're talking about U² is about quantum leaps. So U² is achieved through an intuitive, instinctive discovery process based on a sense of direction and pursuit. If you have the answers and structure and certainty up front, it's not a quantum leap. And we refer to it as a B goal. Because a quantum leap is you don't know how, because we've never done it before. And when you think about, we've been given this magnificent thing called the gift of life. Our job is really to discover what we want, what lights us up. Then the hows, and then the whys, and then the wheres, and the whens, and the whos start to fall in place. But I was talking, I think I shared this before, I was talking with a coach. We went for lunch. And we were talking about, because I often hear, and I'm sure my colleagues as well, the why. What's your big why? What's your big why? And we started talking about that. And I said, well, how do you know what your big why is until you know what you want first? What do you want first? Then why does that matter to you? How will it happen? When do you want it to happen? Blah, blah, blah. But when you think about you've given the gift of life, our first thing is to figure out is what do we want? Because then the real adventure of life begins with all its twists and turns. It becomes an adventure. If we knew up front all the hows, well, where's the fun? Where's the growth? Where's the excitement? Where's the choices we get to make? Where's the outcomes that we didn't know that were going to happen? This is what makes life so interesting and so fun. We get to make the choices, but first we must make the commitment of what it is that we desire, what it is that we want. And unless we really have a clear picture, as my colleagues had talked about, a clear visual, that now becomes our compass, as Alicia was saying. It becomes our compass. But if that image is, if you can't make a commitment to it, if it's vague, if it's kind of, well, I'd like a little of this, I'd like a little of that. I think Paul had mentioned, yeah, everybody would love to be happy, be financially secure, etc., be in a loving relationship. But that's very general, very broad. Our job for each one of us to experience our own journey is to discover or uncover what lights us up, what it is we truly want to experience, and narrow it down to, there could be several things, but to narrow it down, let's start with one thing. Let's just focus on the end. So focus is one of um, our mental
Faculty.
faculties, right? It's the power of the will. So focus is our attention. Our attention is our currency. How are we investing our currency? So if we can focus on the life that we truly want to experience, what we want to live, what kind of relationship, whatever that main thing might be, tops on our mind at the time, whether it's a relationship, health, income, career, whatever that one thing may be for now, focus on that. We've all made choices. We didn't know how to, most of us didn't know how to start our career. We decided we wanted to do X, Y, and Z. And then we had a little inclination of maybe I should talk to so and so, maybe I should go to school, maybe I should do that. But then the roads start opening up for us. So we have to make the choice and decision of what it is we want to experience. And then the resources and opportunities of how we need to grow into that new version or next version of us. Again, when we all started a career, I'll just use my real estate. I didn't know. I had no idea. I knew I wanted to do it, and that was the first step. Then I knew I needed to go and get a license. So I did that. Same thing with this field or any field that you want to go into. So that was the next step. Then the next step was attaching myself to a real estate company so I could hang my license there. That was the next step. Then the next step was learning the house, how to be a buyer agent, how to be a listing agent, what's a home inspection, what is a closing, what is this and that. But they all came when I needed them. It wasn't a barrage of all this information. Just like Alicia was saying, 300 feet, as you get closer, more will appear to you. So this is what he's saying. So our quantum leap, and Paul mentioned, be emotionally connected to that. Because if we're not emotionally connected, the first roadblock or obstacle, we go, never mind. It sounded like a good idea, but this is why it's very important to be emotionally connected to what you want. Focus on the ends rather than the means, and I love the word let, and allow the universe to guide you. Alicia.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't know where to start.
Can I do an applause? That might help.
So, yeah, we talk about that you need to really, really know what do you really want. And I was talking to a new client that have an issue because she has a goal and she wanted to quit from that goals, to let it go, because she told me that, yeah, but my husband, he doesn't believe in that goal. And I say, wait a minute, darling, It doesn't matter what your husband say. I want to know from you, what do you think about yourself? Is that goal getting your heart to dance, and is, as you Lou say, that emotionally connected. Are you really emotional connected to that goal? Because it okay, is your husband, but your goal is your goal. The only person that need to be 100% committed to that goal is you as a client. I will not be committed to your goals. I will committed to you, but you need to be committed to your goals. And why I'm not as a coach committed to your goals is because when we are trying to get to achieve this goal, it will be a roller coaster or emotions. And if I go with your emotions, I will not be able to help you. But if I am committed to you and you are committed to your goals, then I can help you. I will respect your stories, but I will not be in love with that. If I want to, I am going to help you. So we were thinking about her goals and how it was important to her, because I told her that if it's not important to you, then why are you having that? Is something that is the ego needs, or is a soul that it has a desire? It's a distinction if you have a need and if your soul is desire to do that. So we need to do to sit down and think by ourselves, okay, what is my brain saying about this goal? Oh yeah, you need to have this and the how, but what is the heart saying? Is that like, yeah, I want this, it get my heart dancing? And then we go to the gut and check, what is my gut telling about this? Is I am afraid of this, that then is your identity, you need to work. So we were talking about that. And I told her also that a goal, if it's really, really the soul desire, is that, or even if it's a ego needs, but it's the soul desire, is like you need to protect that goal, as the mother that is pregnant is protecting the baby in the stomach. Because that mother, if it's a good mother, will never eat something that can make something wrong for the children, for the baby in the stomach. So you need to protect your goal at that. And then we were talking also about what is the the uh, you know the the purpose of a goal is to get you to grow. But if you already know what to do, you are not growing. You are just as doing as you do every day. So you need to set goals that are pushing you beyond the comfort zone and using your talents and ability to get that. That is what we need to do with the goals. So to be in emotional connection, have this emotional connection, and to get that, you need to make a decision. To make a decision, and what are you willing to let go in order to achieve that goal, or to what are you willing to do also to achieve that goal, and that to be committed to that path, and that that it will not be a straight line to go to the goals, but it will be very, you know different way to come to the goals. And then again, or you learn or you win. That is what we were talking about with my client.
Wow. Where is it? Oh, goodness. You know what's interesting? I think you win in both ways too. That's so good, Alicia. You win when you learn, and you win when you, right? But that's a perception, right? So you shared so much there, and it's a great segue to what this little segment I was reading. He says, "See a quantum leap." Again, a quantum leap is it's a huge jump from where you are to where you want to go, right? And you're using your imagination. It's something you always wanted and something you want to do. So he says, "See a quantum leap is a move you're already prepared to make. You're already prepared, right? You just haven't done it yet. You're prepared." And all of us here can relate to that because it's fear, that holds a lot of people back. They're afraid to invest in themselves. They're afraid to invest in that business. They're afraid to, even take one small step of contacting one of us to point you in the right direction. So you just haven't done it yet. So, and he goes on to say, you have the potential. Remember, all of us, we're unlimited beings and we have unlimited potential. So you have potential to achieve anything you desire. And I remember hearing something so powerful with Neville Goddard, by the way. He said, you wouldn't desire it unless you were able to achieve it or have it. You wouldn't even have an image in your mind or the feeling unless you were capable of being that version of you. So you have the potential. The resources are available. Remember, as you take one step, things start. It's like you take one step, the next step appears. And the next step appears, and the next step. And he says the opportunity is there. Like I said, nothing's never created or destroyed. It's in one form or the other. So if you really think about that, the opportunity is actually waiting for you. It's waiting for you. And I know you get motivated when you watch Coach's Corner and entertained and you laugh, but this is to guide you to that version of you with what you want. So the opportunity is sitting there waiting for you, right? So he goes on to say, what has been missing, and here's this word that all of us said so far, what has been missing is your decision to go for it. To decide, to cut off, right? Remember, you have to be willing to leave your lower self, leave your past self behind, because that version of you took your whole life to create, and it's very comfortable. And this is choosing faith over fear. He says, maybe this will help you frame the situation a lot better. I love how I love how he says this here. The quantum leap is something you've been keeping from happening. Whoa.
I have that written next to it. Whoa.
See the
I have it highlighted and whoa right next to it.
See the synergy there? Wow. So the quantum leap is something you've been keeping from happening. How many times were you motivated on Coach's Corner? How many times have you contacted one of us? How many times have you dropped a comment saying, wow, thank you for sharing that? Or like, it's not about us. This is about you. You're stopping it from happening. That's why we can be the only problem and the only solution. Right? So it's not something you have to struggle to make happen. This is where, a lot of people think I have to work harder. I have to wake up 2 hours earlier and get no sleep and burn myself out. Right? It's not that. It's totally opposite than that. And that's a struggle I had. Right? So it's not something you got to make happen. You don't really force it into existence. You just let it occur. Just let it happen. You don't have to force it. And the key is not to get in the way. We get in our own ways, overthinking everything, overthinking how, that's a big one, where I'm going to get this, where I'm going to get that, where I'm going to find the time, the money, etc. And what that is, that's doubt. Doubt and worry are psychic diseases planted in your mind. So you're putting this disease before you even start. And that holds you back every time. Know that as you take a step forward, you're breaking through these barriers of limiting beliefs. All it is false. It's false stuff you create in your own mind. So I love that, how he phrased that. He said it's something you've been keeping from happening. So when you get excited or you start imagining the life you really want, the money that you really want, you go right back to the comfortable self. Remember the thermostat? You set the temperature and you just want to stay at this temperature because it feels good, right? And I had a mastermind yesterday. Not everybody's self-confidence is at a different level, right? And obviously we've been doing a lot of work on ourselves, and all of us were different version of ourselves last year and the year before that. So in order to, grow, especially in confidence, you're shedding this false identity that you created. And the version of you with what you want is a totally different version. And doing this by yourself is extremely challenging and frustrating, and most people just give up. It's just a fact. And this is why we're here, to guide you with this material. Well, one, that gets you to imagine where your quantum leap is, where you're landing, what you want, right? And for you to realize and gain an understanding that you are the vehicle and you're creating all of this. So I'm gonna get off my bandwagon and pass along while we have a couple minutes. Bandstand, yeah, that's a word.
I like something that you touched on there, Jamel, and about faith and fear, and faith and fear both demand we believe in something we can't see. So you decide. And too often people get this incremental thinking, which says that once I know exactly how, then I will commit, right? And when we talk about A, B, and C goals, I mean, the B type goal is that goal that, well, if this happens, if I have this, I have that, I have this, then, then it'll work out. And, but that doesn't create any inspiration, because if something doesn't quite go right, then you often abandon that. But this quantum thinking is about saying to yourself, I'm going to commit to this outcome and I will discover the path as I go along. And that's how most breakthroughs happen. You don't see the whole staircase. You don't see the whole road, as Alicia says. You just take that step that you see and then you keep going. And that's where this role of faith and trust happens. It does require a certain amount of trust. And you have to trust that once a meaningful goal, a really meaningful goal is clearly chosen and clearly visualized, then the resources and opportunities, they will emerge. You're going to find them. But when you just focus on the means, you're going to see obstacles. And when you focus on the end, then you see more possibilities. And in Bob's teaching, this mirrors, Bob always said, he would say, don't concern yourself with the how, right? Your job is to decide what you want. Leave the how to a higher level, and that's going to unfold as you move forward. And so both Price Pritchett and Bob are suggesting that we often have this excessive concern about the means, and that keeps people trapped. It keeps people trapped in their current paradigm. So don't let the absence of a visible path stop you from pursuing your worthy destination. And it's not about that planning is unimportant, but really it's that most people are demanding that they have this complete roadmap before they commit. And then because they don't have that, they never begin. And that they get into this, what's referred to as analysis paralysis. All the planning, and they never end up taking that step. So be clear on your destination, know what you want, and then stay committed to that outcome. And then allow the path to open up and reveal yourself as you move forward. Lou.
Oh, great. Thank you. So just as we wrap up, I love this last line in here. You're not supposed to be concerned about what happens in the middle of a jump. You're supposed to be thinking about where you're going to land. So when we make a decision or commit, we make a decision and a commitment, not from our current state, our current self, so to speak, but our next level self. And we want to create in our mind. We want to see it. We want to feel it. We want to love it, whatever that desire is for you. And then we build it by taking action, by taking inspired action, by our words, by our movement, by how we show up, but keeping focused on the target. Okay, and I'm going to pass that over to Alicia.
Yeah, I was thinking that sometimes we or people, it had happened to me before, that we don't set the goals because when we don't know the how, we think that it will take too much time. And it's why we don't start but time will fly anyway. So it's like start doing that. And it came to me with according to, it's like comparing to, I have a master's degree, and in order to come to the master degree that I have, I needed to go to the different stage in school, different levels. I learned next level, I learned, and so until I took my degree. And here is the same, that we learned all the time with all the steps we take. Sometimes we don't know, we learn, we get feedback, and then we use the feedback in our advantage to get forward. So the feedback we get is not like to go back if we feel like, oh, this was not so good. That feedback say, okay, that was not the right way, I need to test another way. So using the feedback as an advantage for ourselves, that is how we learn and win at the end.
Wow. Oh, this has been so good. And for this Father's Day edition, I wanted to mention before we end here, what you don't change in yourself, you pass on to your kids and your children, and you're passing down a lot of these limiting beliefs through your family when you don't shift these things in yourself. And I really wanted to mention that. And it's not only just for fathers, for mothers as well, because, two of my clients, they're single moms, and they share a lot how mentorship has impacted their kids in a very positive way. One of them, her son started his own business. He was afraid to go out and talk to people. He's gaining his confidence. He has this vision, and he's growing as a person. And another one, the kids, it's funny, they get on the call and they kind of peek behind the camera to listen in on this material. And it's always good to see they're intrigued and they're hearing different things they've never heard before. And they're changing, and I'm so grateful to be a part of that, because you're shifting these generational mental programming that hold a lot of people back. And what I would say to all the fathers and mothers, everyone out there, this not only changes you and your results, it changes those you love that's around you as well. You're impacting them in a positive way. So this has been, look at Alicia. Go ahead, Alicia.
Yeah, I want to say something that is very strange. I explained it to my mother died when I was very young. I was like 4 years. And I have very few memories of my mother, but some things I remember that. And I told my partner about that. What I remember from my mother. And today I was doing something, and he say, "That is interesting." I say, "What? Why is so interesting?" "Because you told me many years before that your mother did this." I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, that is, And it's like, many, many years she died. And I still have some behaviors that I picked up. I don't remember that is like I picked up that, but it's so what you say, Jamel, that you will, yeah, give that to your children, even if you don't know.
Yeah. You see how powerful it is, right? Yeah, there's genetic conditioning and environmental conditioning, and it's embedded in our DNA, right? We don't even know a lot of these things are there. So, hopefully this session really helped you out today. Of course, reach out to anybody you resonate with that you want to talk to about your future and your quantum leap, and also shedding a lot of this negative stuff, baggage we carry around that hold us back, and also to help you think differently and choose faith over fear, and really open up to this material, because doing this on your own, just watching videos, you're just getting a small piece of it, right? There's a difference between being in the picture rather than looking at it from a distance. So anyway, bye everybody. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Father's Day.
Love you,
Thanks
Dad.
for
Father's
joining
Day.
us.
and everybody take care. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye.
Bye.